Do you have? Salma?
Cik ni kena buka. Sama ada 3 yang from yesterday's one.
Right, anybody else?
Hello?
Okay, go on.
So this is yesterday's patient. One I known is 63-year-old lady with no medical illness, but she has PS at 1 o'clock and 9 to 11. And then also a known PACG with history of anterior uveitis. So his heartbeat di kypholysis. Then then I did the start onwards lah. Fikuchop. This is still is not.
What did this? Ishak? No, Salma yang buat. CCC ni. Ishak buat.
CCC Ishak. Sama tak start lagi buat CCC. This is me. I had a bit of trouble with this this patient. I did not manage to Fico chop lah. I only Ishak had to take over and halfkan dulu. Then after that I continue. So the AC was a bit shallow. Dia pun non PACG sama struggle a bit lah. Tak biasa.
Is the video lagi?
Kenapa dia interrupted macam lagging? Your line ke?
Apa dia?
Lagging video. Line.
Have you pressed the video?
My internet connection is unstable. Sama tak clear.
Optimize video Atam.
Ya.
Cuba semula. Salma. Dia interrupted, dia lagging ni. Dah hilang. Salma. Okay. Hilang terus. What happened, Salma? Is it better?
Saya betul boleh dengar?
Better, okay.
Is this better?
Better lah, dia sikit-sikit lagging. Okay, tak apa. This is your line.
I'm just using my hotspot now. Tadi dekat wifi kat sini.
Line tu. Okay.
Alright. So yeah. So I still have trouble to Fico chop if it's a soft lens, Dr. Aziz. I find it.
Divide lah. If you can't chop soft cataract, divide conquer, divide half dulu, baru chop the other 2 halves.
Itulah sebab I notice every time bila kalau nak cuba buat chop soft cataract dia tak whole dia akan makan juga. So I
Then continue with your
conquer lah.
cup tu.
Yeah. So this one I was trying to make space for nak pico chop lah.
It feels very shallow, is it? Maybe.
ACG memang shallow. Dia memang nanti ACG kan dengan ada PS.
Mana Ishak komen lah. Ishak.
Actually Salma, I think the groove tu tak cukup dalam because when I advise her to go instead of like horizontally, you should go obliquely. So when I took over, the groove tu dah jadi panjang, so I just divide it macam divide and conquer. And subsequently, she manages to actually she can chop after that. After dah jadi dua hemi segment tu, she can chop.
Tahu tak apa maksud acrylic itu?
Which means actually benda tu is actually choppable.
Dah jadi konteks tu Salma. Salma, dia ada banyak konteks tau above nuclear strength.
Since you are doing 660 hours, memang konteks tu lebih banyak compared to others lah. And then memang access to nucleus tu is a bit difficult because you tak tahu how deep you have to gauge before you reach the nucleus. So most of the time, even myself pun bila nak chop tu, actually we're holding the cortex. That's why we tend to have trouble chopping.
Holding lah, holding dia.
Yeah.
So clearkan dulu, then you can assess how deep you're going to go.
Yeah. Itulah sama tak I didn't manage this time.
In some hands, they can chop soft cataract, but when you can just divide it first. Nobody will say anything. It's correct. Right?
Alright.
Some people chop, so they're very stable hands. Some people just do divide conquer. Nothing wrong.
Ada my trench dah became too long and so and also I think I don't know, the AC was shallow for my head, difficulty going susah lah, I don't know. And pro in the end Ishak tolong lah.
Forward sikit. Tak sampai nanti.
You?
Forward kan lah. Dah divide half, then you chop the other two halves.
So Ishak masuk, divide kan.
Okay.
So this is ni ada divide yang that side.
Can you get rid of that apa ni? Tanda tu sama the middle of your video tu. The sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay kan? Ni choppable ni. Or you just finish it off lah, ambil satu segmen, finish it off.
Besar sangat kalau nak tarik.
You pull from the edge. Dia tak boleh ambil daripada tengah-tengah tau. Tengah dan pull out, you can't. So you pull from the edge. Normally I pick the left edge. So that I can insert your dialer behind.
And then another thing, with this patient, I tend to, not just this patient lah, I still have this tendency to push the eyeball down, to try not to push the eyeball down. Tapi, sama itulah.
Okay, tip lagi. Tip kan, using tip to to manipulate. They can use to manipulate, but when you want to chop and tip, it's not effective. Not efficient.
Sharp.
Just not. You have to use the sharp.
Ini sama ke?
Sama.
I notice you tekan pedal tu banyak sangat.
Apa dia? Saya tak dengar lah.
Pedal.
Pedal.
Power. Sebab sekali you tekan kan, it's almost max. And this is soft.
Pedal.
Kena tekan slower.
Control lah, tengok sekejap je dah sampai. And then it's like,
Ya.
Can hear the discussion.
easily macam ni, terpapar.
Betul, faham.
Can hear discussion. Apa dia sama? Can you share the discussion? Can hear.
Oh, I think that was Dr. Huda. Dia kata my power is I have to control my pedal because when I tekan
Kuat sikit tak
straight
dengar
away
dah.
tekan tinggi sangat. So takut nanti dapat button tu.
You can potentially do fast kan because the segment is still in. Jangan slow.
Itu boleh do fast. Tapi because the AC tu dia shallow, I was a bit afraid that I takut lagi sangat nanti.
Catch what? You catch cornea, you catch PC. PC belakang. PC is held by the segment. Cornea will not collapse onto you.
Bila Salmah dah chop kecil-kecil tu, I think quite safe kalau you nak press Feco power tu banyak pun because you have a big segment protecting your PC kat bawah. So tak adalah. I don't think susah lah PC untuk masuk menyelinap di celah-celah big segment tu kan sebenarnya.
Nah, I risau tu kan I thought macam tak nak sangat banyak Feco power nanti dia cornea edema ke. Itulah, I was just trying to balance between those two.
Power ni, that's why you do job. Sama remember, when you don't do job, you just press Feco to eat it out. That's when you use a lot of Feco power. So the reason why you chop into small segment using your instrument is because the main thing is to reduce the Feco power usage.
Yeah.
Tengok parameters. Okay kan?
Okay.
3, 2, 3, 2. Okay. Pedal 3, 2, 3, 2 is correct. So other Feco vacuum is there. Aspiration is there. Ada 0. 0 means you lepas terus tau. Kan? But sometimes we do that. I do that also because we want to do fast. And it's continuous irrigation. So it has to be 2, 3, 2, 3. And you see the peristaltic kind, it should be changing on off duty cycle. It should be changing. Your percentage is quite good.
So maksudnya average that 70% tu low power tu betul kan?
Very low. Dia tak ada cut off point though. It's not like
itulah.
What do you call that Centurion? What do you call it? CD. That's Centurion tu yang cumulative power.
Tak pasti. But when I go through the manual, kan dia ada 15 tu sekarang 15-24. Itu dia punya average power at that setting. So now it becomes, jadi tukar 10-12 for example kan. So bila is 10 to 10 millisecond off on, 12 is 12 millisecond off each duty cycle. So it regulates the power based on your usage lah sebenarnya. So the average tu is the average power you are using, about 16%. Duty cycles.
AVG tu kan? AVG. Okay.
Yes. So bagus lah, 16% tu sikit lah maksudnya.
And this duty cycle on off kan is actually off. It's very important, you know. On off duty cycle off will cool down the tip, and it also pulls your segment into your piece. Without off, the on saja, the segment will not come to you. So that's why some people put off a bit long. So, but make sure it changes. That's what this wearable white star is all about.
So this one, IA, the issue yang dekat
Sensational terus.
sama tak dapat remove yang dekat 6 o'clock dengan 5 to 6 o'clock area tu.
Kenapa tak boleh?
I don't know. I think it was the way I was holding my probe. Suddenly I couldn't reach hujung tu. Like if I want to go further, it's like me pushing the eye ke bawah, and then I wouldn't have a view. So yang tu pun is hard to over just to clean yang dekat. Plus it was very near the PC. Yang pukul 6 tengah gerak tu sama aku tak berani nak proceed.
Sleep tu boleh pendek ke lagi sama?
Probe tu. Itulah.
I want to ask Salma. I want to ask. Let's say IA caught PC kan, what can possibly happen? What will happen?
Well, you're supposed to stop your irrigation lah. Kalau you continue to ni nanti PC kan.
What will happen if the tip of the eye catch PC? They can stuck situ kan? When you do,
Stuck kat situ.
people will have all this PCRN whatever kan, zonal ICs. When they pull, when tangan dia tiba-tiba takut, bila dia dah catch PC tu, suddenly dia
dia tarik terus.
That cause zonal ICs or PCRN. But you just stay there or let the irrigation release it, or you reflux again. Then it will not cause anything. It's different with FICO. FICO, once it catch, very rarely you get away with it. Selalu dapat PCRN terus because it's sharp and it vibrates. This tip doesn't vibrate and it's blunt.
This one I was trying to take the second instrument to try to, because as I go forward je mata tu ke bawah, dia tak mau ke to the center. But in the end I think it's hard to over lah. I couldn't go to the hujung.
It's okay lah. Lens, everything okay?
Lens everything after that semua okay.
The FECO. Sometimes you have to.
With that kind of size
I think
CCC, okay.
I think my sis tak maybe tak masuk to my probe tu.
Lens okay Salma, besar CCC ni.
Besar. Yeah. Then lepas tu tak tengok another one, second one, that one.
Takut dah sampai. Dah sampai 51.
Huh?
Next. Anything else to show? Yeah, this one? Tak ada kan?
Tak ada. Rasa semuanya okey kot ni. Semua semalam semua pun okey. Ada satu tu yang CCC tu dia run sikit because
I was upstairs watching. So you managed to proceed lah that one.
Itu sama tunjuk sekejap.
CCC tu run tu ada proceed.
Dia lambat turn. You should turn early up. Pull up.
But anyway, boleh salvage lah. Salvage dengan pulling ke tengah.
Yes. Nampak betul?
Okay. Kenapa tak ada parameters? Oh, belum start. Okay.
Ini tak start.
Oh, dah sikit.
So this is the one yang
Ni lambat turn. Lambat turn up.
Ini CCD yang almost run tapi okey lah dapat diselamatkan.
Macam cataract dense intumescent kan.
Dia itu dia dense, but dia punya cortical plate tu besar. So as I pusing tu, dia dah start to bulge dekat sini. Sama here, dia dah start to bulge. So bila I tarik ke bawah tu, I thought it was still okay. So I proceed je lah. Sampai kat pukul 6 tu, I lost, tak nampak kat mana dia.
Lambat turn. Sepatutnya turn atas terus.
Tak nampak actually kat mana. I nak tolak ke tengah tu, dia dah run. Dekat sini, sampai here. Kat pukul 3 ni, dia dah run.
Dia run kat hujung sini.
Sebab tu bila buat kes macam ni, jangan gopoh. Tolak dengan viskolastik, tengok. Tolak dengan viskolastik, stop. Tolak viskolastik, tengok. Kena tarik nafas panjang-panjang bila buat kes macam ni, jangan gopoh.
I want to ask question. Salma, Cindy, siapa-siapa. Do you aspirate this? Some people aspirate kan? Will it work? Will it work?
I think it will. I thought Dr. Hafiz buat last 2 weeks dia memang akan aspirate. So I find that
will it work? What will you aspirate? What will come out?
Well, it depends on
Context lah.
Depends, tak semua dense cataract macam ni boleh aspirate.
Yes, betul.
Tak semua. Yang ni disebabkan cortex tu push out. You will not be able to aspirate that cortex. Tak boleh. So the only way to do this is to do small CCC. If you end up very small CCC, tak apa, tak kisah. You can actually redo double CCC, and you can always do that. Tapi jangan aspirate unnecessarily. You have to know the basis behind the aspiration. Not all you can aspirate.
In cases like this, the most important thing to assess is, to me lah, the capsule. Is it fragile or normal, terga macam tu? That's the most important thing. Sebab it will depends how much pressure you apply to do your CCC. Sometimes with dense cataract, dia dah jadi very fragile. You letak je Utrata, will crack kadang-kadang. Macam tu. Lebih koyak besar.
The other way is to kacau the cortex. You pull, you disturb the cortex, kacau, press the nucleus down. This is the other way.
Cataract macam ni biasanya nak CCC tu yang macam apa, but chopping it's relatively easy compared to other cataract. But CCC itulah.
Ini tak extend kan?
Ini tak. We just proceed because bila I tarik tu, dia punya CCC tu ikut, so I felt quite comfortable doing it.
So this one sama dah take over lah. I did the Cisco chop.
Tadi kenapa sama tak buat CCC? Sorry, tak perasan. Tadi sama tak buat CCC?
Belum lagi.
Belum sama.
Oh ya. Okay.
Sekejap sama. When do you know you should stop pulling, Aisyah?
When you know that it's still running,
it runs beyond the pupil. When you should stop pulling? Otherwise, it causes zonolysis. It go behind. When it stops by itself. You can't pull. Dah tak boleh kan? Then you should stop. Letaklah viscoelastic, see whether you can see. Normally, it stops at equator. Beyond that, more forceful than that, it go behind, of course. Kalau dia stop sendiri tu, you go the other side lah, salvage.
Semalam ada 2 case, doktor. Satu saya aspirate
macam ni
and swollen. Satu lagi tak aspirate, jadi Argentinian flag lah.
Aspirate ni, you have to really know the basis dia. Sometimes your needle tu pun masuk tu pun boleh menyebabkan.
Ya, betul. The angle of the needle. Saya perasan kalau angle tu tak betul, that's right.
Only emulsified cortex will come out.
Ini aspirate tu
Macam
dia nak reduce the swelling, bukannya if not we cannot do CCC tu.
Cakap apa aku macam sakit.
Apa ni?
Sama. This one I had to turn apa tu dapat
Jauh sangat sama. It's too far from the tip.
from the tip. Oh,
It's very near. The nearer, the better, because it's the highest force is at the tip. So when you go further, the weaker lah.
kena buat try dulu kan nak macam
Apa?
tungkil kan.
Ke tepi lah. It's all flat. It's all horizontal. You're vertical and horizontal. That's it. Tak boleh cungkil. Tak boleh cungkil lah. Mana ada prolapse. The nucleus should stay there in the back. You shouldn't move it out.
Okay.
Macam ni kan, you clear the cortex first. You see where the nucleus is. Yes, you'll be chopping the cortex. Then jauh ni. It's far.
I also tegur Salma pasal kejauhan dia punya second instrument away from the tip.
Nearer better.
This one was yang tu je lah yang the CCC besar sikit, and then I think otherwise after this the removal walaupun okay je lah, uneventful.
Don't push sama. You never push the nucleus. You just touch it and let the phaco work. You see your tip of phaco end up behind.
Depan. Oh, okay.
It should be all center.
Okay.
Kan you can potentially do very fast kan. Kalau chop, and then knowing that the segment will hold the PC down, so cepat je habis ni. Should be very fast. Never go behind. Never go beyond the CCC.
Oh, never go behind as in the
CCC. Everything should be at the center. Safe.
Yeah. Okay.
Ni boleh chop lagi kan. Did you chop? Okay. Jauh sangat.
Yeah, I break it into
Very far. Too far sama. You don't need to go that far. Semuanya atas tip tu je. Jangan touch, don't touch the tip. Like above it. Above or adjacent. Saya takut ni semua.
Tak nak komplikasi doktor.
When you are at the center kan, everything at the center, water, everything fill up, air is fully irrigated. What can possibly go into your phaco probe? The loose segment only kan. PC tak akan datang, iris tak akan datang. CCC stays there.
Salman tend to go kat periphery tu. You have to be a bit more.
Center dia semua center.
Hi, Dr. Syah.
You don't need to reach the edge, right? With this technique, you don't need to reach the edge to chop. You just hold nicely, then atas phaco tip tu, then it will open up.
Oh, okay. Tak payah sampai ke hujung.
You go to the edge. That's using the other chopper, the longer chopper. You use that. Kalau nak pergi edge kan, that's why there's a chopper, longer chopper. They go to the edge and chop. Macam ni you use Sinski, atas tu je, atas phaco tip. Sinski tak boleh pergi ke edge tu and chop.
Boleh betul chop lah kan, banyak kan.
Longer chopper. But we rarely do using longer chopper kan. It's why we use shaft of the Sinski. How do you feel, Salma? Okay.
Okay so insyaAllah. Just need to feel more
Yes,
confident and get more comfortable dengan tangan lah, especially tak push and yelah like tadi cakap once I'm at the center and everything be okay. Alhamdulillah this one was okay lah, patient was quite best lah, dia punya mata dia and dia punya position, dia pun cooperative. I didn't have much trouble. But I have this tendency macam my third case
susah nak tarik.
my second instrument bila I keluar tu tarik air sekali. Tarik laju sangat tak ni. Dia dah dia.
Okay.
Apa dia kata sih?
Tu, kenapa masih stay dalam?
Oh tak, masa tu because there was some nucleus matter dekat the wound, so ingatkan nak cuba ambil dan decided buat with IA je lah.
You should ask yourself, can I remove it using IA? This is the question you should ask. Bukannya can I remove it using Feco? So when you say you can remove it using IA, you pull out.
Just IA je, yeah. Be safe, yeah. So,
Comment, anybody else comment? Mana Shikin semua, Amira?
Yes, I do, Doctor. Yes, I'm here, Doctor.
Say something lah, yang give input. Should do like this, should do like that. Opinions.
So like just now, as what you say during the nucleus during chopping. So so by right the chopper actually by right should be the nearest point towards the Feco probe lah, Doctor. So because that's the strongest point kan for us.
Kalau kita pakai Sinski kan, kalau pakai chopper, of course at the edge lah.
And then actually I have an experience doing an intermittent cataract. Actually end up with the Argentina flex sign lah because I didn't do lens. I mean aspirate the nucleus in the first part. So
This one, Shikin, this aspiration kan, not all you can aspirate kan. Betul tak? Sometimes pergi aspirate kosong keluar, tak ada apa-apa. But it still extend because the cortex is not the emulsified cortex. It's the cortex itself. You can't aspirate the cortex.
Okay.
Yeah, actually last time ada buat yang fecomorphic tu kan, yang white cello AC pun we try to use, and Dr. Aziz punya skill yang press the nucleus down and break dia punya cortex tu, sometimes it helps lah. Dia boleh save yung CCC. Dia tak extend kan, kita press the nucleus down and break all the cortex and above it, so dia tak extend lah.
Some people do very small hole ni. Macam Dr. Rosie dia buat small hole CCC, lepas tu aspirate pun boleh, no harm. Lepas tu inject balik viscoelastic dan redo another circle pun boleh.
Tapi last time I nampak someone dia buat small CCC, after that dia guna IA to aspirate all the cortex tu.
Double CCC boleh. If you're I would do that kalau rather than aspiration of the cortex, pakai needle. So dia buat CCC.
IA lah. So IA remove the cortex and then enlarge the CCC.
Then you can remove because it's cortex not emulsified kan. It's a cortex keras, so that one was okay. I think that one is safer than aspiration of the cortex. Than aspiration using needle.
Yang ni dah masuk lens pun tak ada apa-apa lah Dr. Aziz. And then
when you have this big CCC kan, any problem with the lens, stable lah. Lens okay.
Alhamdulillah, the lens was
As long as your wound is okay, it should be okay.
Yang ni is another one yang the last case tu ada one yang masa I withdraw after I done nuclear segment tu, I tertarik the iris sekali. But this one was NFC plus cataract. Alhamdulillah dapat cukup lah juga. Yang ni Isa asked me to do smaller strength and deeper, so yeah, it was much better than the first one.
Belum nampak screen sama.
Tak nampak?
Video belum.
Yeah, we stop share.
Stop share.
We share again.
Share again. Sekejap lah.
Okay.
Ini nampak?
Yeah, can see now.
Huh?
Kan, boleh. When you do this session, Salma, dalam pantry ya?
Sorry, ada ramai orang because the internet was supposed to be better at the back here, so.
Awak ni
the
subscribe tak wifi? Cik.
Wifi tadi tersangkut-sangkut Dr. Hairin, so sama tukar ke my hotspot, my own Maxis line.
Itulah semalam tak baca mesej, Awi tukar dia punya router. Sekarang it would be better sebenarnya.
No, but we were on the Wi-Fi just now. I was on the Wi-Fi, but it was sangkut-sangkut tadi.
You duduk kat mana tadi?
Dekat pantry. Pakai iDeco kan.
Masa sangkut-sangkut tu. iDeco tak boleh pakai kat pantry.
Oh.
iDeco pakai kat dalam.
Tu dah jauh Salma.
Jauh. iDeco untuk dalam. Daripada bilik E30 sampai ke bilik 9. Bawa pindah.
Sama tu yang jauh ni. The Pico Chop.
Habiskan dulu.
Yelah, okay. Tapi dapat chow dapat crack kan?
Dapat.
Soft kan? Is it soft?
It's a bit soft, tapi dia medium lah. Dia quite nice lah.
It is NS 2 plus good.
It's very important because I've seen surgeon crack kan, macam dia buat conquer semua kan, or chop. Lepas tu dia cakap, dah crack. I say no, you should be able to see the PC. Then you say it's crack. Bila you buka tu kan, you dah nampak PC clear belakang. Then it's crack. Otherwise, you end up having a still attached segment. Dan masa nak buang nanti susah. Masa nak remove segment. So you have to make sure it's fully cracked. Jauh sangat.
Kat periphery.
The action should be all happening at the center.
Maksudnya when I pull jump to the center lagi
Carilah segmen besar sikit.
Tak datang.
See your foot pedal. The screen is big. Sometimes
tak nampak.
Okay.
Ni semua kat periphery ni. Semua bahaya. Kalau saya cubit tangan ni. Tarik ke anterior ke center. Alah.
Ada yang tak detach lagi pun. So dia tak datang. Itu je. Okay, tengok 0, 1.
Apa tu
lagi?
Lepas you vacuum jadi 0 balik.
Attach kan? Tak. Still attach.
Vacuum maximum tapi doesn't touch the cortex pun. Sumbat ke apa?
Dia tu lah dimakan masa dapat soft kot. That's why.
Segment tu masa
Rasa you pegang konteks tu Salma, bukan pegang
Oh.
nucleus tu. Lepas tu dia berderai. Salma suka ambil kat periferi je. Jantung je ni.
Dia suka bukan ambil kat periferi, dia suka main kat periferi. Memang kita kena ambil kat periferi bawa ke tengah, dia duk main kat tepi tu juga. Lepas tu dia kait pula tu dengan dia punya sinski tepi Salma. Kait lagi memang kait. Benda tu tak datang kait lagi. Ingat kait rambutan apa?
Kan segment masih attach kan sama dia attach lagi tu, that's why dia tak datang fully. Yang ni okey.
Dia tak fully divide
This,
ke bawah.
at this point, you kena maximum Feko. Jangan tunggu-tunggu. Dah detach, bawa ke tengah terus maximum Feko.
Tapi kalau maximum takut dia makan kat hujung tu doktor.
Yang kau pergi hujung buat apa? Orang duduk tengah.
Pull to the center then do your action. Softy saying, bit soft.
Soft macam ni memang sedap nak Feko. Tapi the last piece, you kena jaga tu je. So don't waste your time. Don't waste your time.
The other way, which will probably help, you turn to epinucleus. Kan kalau nampak dia softies macam ni kan, so dia takkan pull banyak sangat. So it will help. Epinucleus.
Maknanya tukar ke
setting chop tu kan ada epinucleus. We still have epinucleus setting, lower setting lah.
So maknanya at this point Dr. Aziz would have changed to epinucleus.
Tapi kan this MHS kan, MHS setting is designed for all, medium, hard, soft. It's all foot pedal control. Tak perlu, kalau your foot pedal control is very good, you can use this setting fully, all medium, hard, soft.
Masa you catch this one, Feko you 20. You makan apa 20? Terus maximum naik sikit.
Dia takut nak tekan foot pedal. 2, 3, 2, 3.
Tengoklah 20. Betul lambat. Bila dia dah jumble macam crumple kat belakang tu, tolak ke depan. Janganlah biar dia kat belakang daripada nozzle tu. So you stop your Feko sikit, tolak ke depan dan Feko balik. Okay. Ni nucleus yang terbalik. What do you do?
ID position.
Tengok tu, it's very dangerous you tolak dengan sinski. Tolak probe tu, better. Tengok tu dia. Sampai ke bawah probe-nya. Ya Allah, Salma. Because bawah probe tu you don't have a good view. Nanti you boleh koyak PCU. Banyak mana stun Salma hari ni.
Deep sama masa ni. Quite deep. Okay lah.
AC maintain. Actually dengan because I keep on reminding Salma to make sure that irrigation punya outlet tu sentiasa kat tengah.
Masa ni I keluar and I insert my IDs.
Will you change the last segment remover epinucleus at this time?
Tak.
Tak tukar.
Will you? Ada orang setengah dia automatic kan, that day we discuss already kan. Lower setting will make it worse.
Nowadays Dr. Aziz dah cakap kan the machine is better, tapi no need to change the setting. After this, uneventful, just insert lens and
police
betulkan.
CCC. Who did I ask? Dari sini, I asked her to police the CCC. Kena tak apa. The CCC is big also. Kalau yang kecil-kecil CCC tu kan, or normally polish. Any comment? Razia, senyap je. Razia. Amira tak ada cuti Amira tak ada.
Dr. Aziz.
Amira ada.
Morning, Dr. Aziz. Stella here.
Boleh? Stella, komen lah. Mahani pun komen lah.
Dr. Aziz just nak tanya daripada Fico Probe tu.
Tak dengar. Can you repeat, Stella? Can hear you. It's echoing. Stella?
Yes, doctor, can hear me?
Can.
Last segment epinucleus tu di bawah, it's actually on the bawah Fico Probe. So in that Fico Probe, takut dia makan PC, then jalan. So can you like use viscoelastic to up, then only we use Fico Probe macam tu?
Okay. Answer lah. Siapa nak answer? Ishak?
Actually,
meaning we're pulling out the segment, pulling out the probe, betul letak viscoelastic, lift it up. Do you need to do that?
I've not tried it before, but I think bila your probe tu inside the AC kan, irrigation is there. And irrigation tu by right, it should maintain the AC. And if the segment is loose enough and small enough, it will float by itself. I tak pernah buat lagi lah. Tapi
when you put OBD in there, it doesn't pharmacodynamic rules. It doesn't apply. So when of course you can put viscoelastic in. It's not no harm done, but it's actually unnecessary. So when you pull out kan segment, so dah salah dah, because by right you should finish everything one in one out kan. So you pull it out, letak viscoelastic in, float it up. Satu, viscoelastic is not cheap, right? And the other one is when you pull it in, you find that the flow inside the AC is different. Kan? Pharmacodynamically doesn't apply there. The flow, aspiration, vacuum, everything is different. Of course, it's safe. If you have lots of viscoelastic, as a last resort, you can. But most of the time unnecessary, because your irrigation is enough to mobilize your segment. And your foot pedal control, if you have a good control, you can pick it up and finish it off one go. Try to avoid in-out.
Try to avoid in-out. Okay. Thanks, Dr. Aziz.
Mana Mani? Ada. Komen Mani. Udah? Sucitra.
Ada dah komen.
Kau boleh banyak-banyak sikit.
So people are unexamined lah doktor nak pula exam tu.
Kita ada video yesterday yang Ishak insert IOL tu Ishak, yang Aris prolapse.
Cuba tengok sama yang mana satu tu.
Boleh share kat video tu.
Oh, alamak.
Aris prolapse prior to injection of IOL. Then how to inject IOL. Bilik mana ni? Bilik FFA.
The first case kot Pawani kot rasanya. Patient nama Pawani tu.
Oh, okay. yang putih. Putih. Tak ada. That was ambition.
So what's your worry, Salma? Sini Salma tengah prepare. Sini. What's the worry about iris prolapse prior to injecting IOL? Mana sini? Tak ada voice.
Yeah, doktor.
What do you think? Iris prolapse. To inject IOL kan, you have put viscoelastic in everything. Suddenly iris prolapse, like this floppy iris kan. So what do you do?
Doctor, actually, if the iris prolapse, but we haven't inserted in the IOL, so because when we insert in the injector, so actually it will push the iris back in.
Provided
so can I just
proceed. Provided you insert above the iris. You have to really match.
Yeah, I have to push it in when using the injector.
Sama, I rasa bukan yang ni lah. Yang patient last tu, patient Chinese tu I rasa. Because yang tadi suruh dog gitu. Apa nama uncle tu?
Ya. Okay.
Yup.
Stella, will you understand the iris prolapse before IOL insertion? How do you manage? Do you repose it? Do you put viscoelastic in? Do you extend the wound? Sekejap dah. Yang ni
I think so, yeah. The last yang you tadi suruh dog tu kan?
Ya.
Iris prolapse ni. Tak ada, belum.
Ini semalam
larikan dia punya parameter tu. Tak nampak. Put it aside. Parameter drag ya. Ni. Macam ni. Stop lah sekejap. Stop sekejap.
Stop
sekejap dulu. Stella, mana ni? Jawablah. How do you manage all this? Sekejap semua. Tak ada voice.
You can push the probe masa nak insert lens tu kan the visco will push the
the most ideal is to repose it. But how do you repose it is? Of course, I think you all have encountered the time when you directly repose it and they will further damage iris. The more iris will come out. Betul tak? And tak lagi viscoelastic kan? Betul tak? Correct. So in the end, you can't insert IOL. Betul tak? So how do you do this? Especially in this floppy iris, you tend to come out. So what do you do?
Dr. Aziz, boleh saya try? Dr. Stella here. I feel maybe put viscoelastic on top and then try to dock the IOL probe, then only use a second instrument through the side port and pull the iris away.
Alright. Okay, boleh. Can. Nanti Isyak tunjuk. So the most ideal is to reposit iris. You can also reposit iris from your second port. But you can't use your repositor because it cannot reach it. So what can reach this space from the second instrument is your Sinski. From inside. But you put viscoelastic enough, then you pull using your Sinski, you flatten it. That's the most ideal if you can reach that. Then you insert IOL. Otherwise, you need to just push your IOL in, make sure it's above the iris. And stand by instrument the other side, just in case you're pushing iris with the probe, with the IOL. Okay, sama. Tunjuk. Viscoelastic kan? Kalau floppy iris, you just come out. Lagi banyak bila tak viscoelastic, lagi dia ada keluar. Okay, good way. Instead of using iris suppositor kan, pakai air dan
my practice normally I never use iris depositor because it can damage the iris further. So I always use this IA probe to
Never is not a good choice of answer.
preference, not my preference.
You can I still pakai iris depositor. Depends on situation and the iris tip tu. Sometimes iris depositor tip tu damage, dia jadi tajam, then it's not suitable to use.
Keluar balik dah. Habis
And
sekolah
if you're
lagi.
damaging the iris when you're using the iris repositor Ishak, that means your technique is wrong.
Right, okay.
This is quite common when you have this floppy iris kan. This is quite common. So sekali kan when we expect iris floppy kan, buat tanda lah besar sikit, panjang sikit. So it will not come out directly like that. But sometimes difficult to predict also. The pupil looks big, looks nice, but suddenly flops. So last sikit. Sama, dah nak ambil kan? 8.5 dah. Lens, okay. You know, the only lens that you can do this, this Koa Avanci. Kan? Sebab when you notice, dia punya edge dekat tip tu, tip dia ada V dekat bawah tu, dekat bawah ada slit tu. So you can possibly do docking. Koa is meant for inside insertion. So when you dock Koa, it will come out dekat bawah tu ada slit. So the rest are okay, like aircon, so semua tu okay. You can dock as long as it's single piece lah. Tengok Ishak, dia push kan. Dia push. Dia make sure it's above the iris.
Then actually disco remover, then after that letak mindset lah.
When you put mindset dalam masa yang ni kan, betul Ishak?
When during the disco,
when IAT is still in.
IA probe,
IA probe is still in the AC.
There's no point you come out and insert apa ni, lepas tu iris prolapse, then you manage without mindset. There's no point. So you insert during when the probe is still in. Wait until it becomes small, then come out. Tak ada pun. Keluar. Ishak. Apa keluar balik? Lupa.
Ini ada mindset ke Salma? Ada I remember.
I rasa tak.
One of the indication for mindset is this iris prolapse. Once you have iris prolapse, you put it in.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's the mindset.
You don't put mindset routinely, just to make the people small peace of mind, go home. But this is iris prolapse, this indication. Okay, cantik je kan? Tak keluar dah. Alright, just to share that.
Okay.
Alright, 8:32. Shall we end?
Yeah.
Yeah, good,
Thank
good,
you so
Salma.
much,
You
Ustaz.
progress well. You progress well.
InsyaAllah.
See you progressing. Okay. All right. Shall we stop? We see you
Yeah.
next week. Eh?
Thank you,
Okay.
Doctor.
Bye.